I built a gift by hand for my father-in-law's retirement party. Thought it might mean something. When he opened it, he glanced at me and said, "You ought to start selling these if jobs ever get scarce." The whole room burst out laughing. I gave a half smile and said, "Funny. I was thinking of billing you for the emotional labor." I am 39 years old. Been married for 7 years now. My husband is a solid man. Honest, works hard, kind-hearted. He is not the best at picking up on family drama, but honestly, who is? His dad, Gerald, just wrapped up a long career as a senior project manager at a construction firm in Chicago. He worked there for 38 years. He is real old school. The kind of guy who believes if he did it on his own, everyone else should too. You know the type I mean. Wears the same wristwatch for 2 decades. Thinks therapy is for weak folks. Always going on about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. I have always tried to be polite around him, even though he has never warmed up to me. Too creative, too emotional for his liking. I work with would build furniture and custom pieces. To him, it is just a hobby. Never mind that I have sold hundreds of items. So when his retirement party rolled around, I decided to put my time into something meaningful. His wife, my mother-in-law, rented this gorgeous venue by the Chicago River. 150 guests came. Everyone was dressed up suits and cocktail dresses. Open bar. Fancy little crab cakes floating around on silver trays. I spent 3 full weeks building him a one-of-a-kind wooden keepsake box. Made from rich walnut wood. I carved tiny construction tools into the lid by hand. Lined it with velvet. Inside, it had little spaces for watches, cufflinks, whatever he wanted. It took over 50 hours of work. I even turned down a few paid jobs just to make time for it. I figured maybe, just maybe, it would show him I respected his career, even if he had never once shown the same toward mine. That was a mistake. When it came time for gifts, folks were handing him bottles of whiskey, golf balls, framed plaques. Then came my turn. He opened the lid, looked it over real slow, ran his fingers along the edge like he was inspecting the grain. Then he chuckled and said that line about selling them if work ever dries up. The laughter was not kind. It was loud, real, like I was the joke. I stood there, trying not to show it on my face. I forced a smile. Said that bit about sending a bill for emotional labor. More laughs. But this time it was awkward. Like folks were unsure if they were supposed to laugh. My husband turned red, leaned over and whispered, "Why would you say that?" I did not answer. I did not eat anything that night. I just sat at the table, watching everyone dance and drink and celebrate Gerald's long career. My gift sat untouched on the table, like a toy no one wanted on Christmas morning. The ride home was silent. My husband tried making small talk, but I kept my replies short. The next morning, I drove to their house. Walked right in and told my mother-in-law I had forgotten something in the box. I picked it up and walked out. She did not ask any questions. Just gave me a look like she knew something was off. Gerald never called to ask why. Never said thank you. Never brought it up again. That is when I started keeping track. Every time they needed help setting up for some family event, I said no. Every time someone asked me to send a birthday card, oops, I forgot. Every little favor they wanted, I was suddenly too busy. Anytime they invited us over, we already had plans. My husband noticed. He started asking why I was acting cold. I told him straight. I said, "Your dad embarrassed me in front of a whole room of people after I spent 50 hours building him something personal. I am done pretending that did not matter." He told me I was overreacting. Said Gerald was just joking. That is when I stopped arguing. Instead, I got back to work. Started building custom boxes again. First local orders. Then online. Every single one sold out. The reviews were glowing. I posted videos of my process. People started following me. Not millions, but enough to keep going strong. Then one day, my husband walked into the room and said, "Hey, my dad was asking about one of your boxes. Think he wants one." I did not even look up. I just said, "I bet he does." That was 6 months ago. I have not sent him a thing. About a month later, I got a message on Instagram from a woman named Jenna. She runs a small boutique in Milwaukee that sells handmade home goods, candles, pottery, woven stuff. She had seen one of my videos and wanted to carry my pieces in her store. I said yes. That one message kicked off the busiest season of my life. Orders started flooding in. I stopped taking custom jobs and focused on limited edition designs. My evenings were full of sawdust, music, and the quiet peace of carving something beautiful. And for once, my shop was paying the bills. Around the same time, my husband started acting strange. Distant. Jumpy. Like he was trying not to say the wrong thing. He quit bringing up his parents altogether. I let it go. I had too much on my plate to worry about it. Then came the July family barbecue. His relatives throw a big cookout every summer out in the suburbs. I did not want to go. My husband begged me to. Said it would be chill. Told me Gerald probably would not even be there. Of course, Gerald was the first person I saw, holding court in the backyard like always. As soon as we walked in, he grinned and said, "Well, look who finally showed up." Then added, "I figured you were probably tired too, sweetheart." I did not smile. I nodded and walked right past him like he was invisible. Later on, I went inside to grab a soda. That is when I heard him talking out back, loud enough for everyone nearby to catch it. He said, "I still do not get why she is so sensitive. It is just a box. What could it be worth $40? Someone laughed. Maybe a cousin. And that was it. I was done. That night, I told my husband I was officially done playing nice. I was not going to fake smiles or make small talk anymore. I told him I would be polite, sure, but I was finished going to family get-togethers, done sending gifts, and completely through with pretending his father's behavior was just quirky or harmless. My husband just sat there on the couch, quiet. Took a while before he finally spoke. He said, "You know he has cancer, right?" I did not. Stage 2 pancreatic cancer. Not a death sentence yet, but serious. Treatable, but still bad news. And just like that, I was expected to feel sorry. As if I was supposed to let go of all those years of side comments and eye rolls. The way he always introduced me as the artsy one. The times he asked, "So what does that really pay?" whenever someone brought up my work. Now everyone was suddenly talking about how life is short, how I should not carry regrets, how he probably did not mean any harm. I stayed quiet. But what really got to me? 2 weeks later, I got another email from Jenna, the woman who runs that boutique in Milwaukee. She had received a message through her shop's website. Someone claiming to be a concerned customer said she should reconsider working with me because of my supposed ethics and political opinions. I asked her to send it to me. She did. It came from Gerald's personal email, the same one I have seen used for birthday invites and cheesy forwarded jokes. My own father-in-law tried to sabotage my business. I stared at that screen for what felt like forever. My hands were shaking, but I did not cry. I just went ice cold. I called my husband at work. "Your dad tried to mess with my business." "What?" "I have the email. He sent it to Jenna. He used his real name. His real email." "What kind of idiot do you have to be?" "I'll talk to him," my husband said. "No, do not." "Why not?" "Because this is between me and him now." That was the moment I stopped caring how I looked to anyone else. I was done with the polite tone, done with trying to be the peacemaker. He had made this a fight, and I do not lose fights. So now I knew the truth. Gerald, my own father-in-law, had written to someone I work with, pretending to be a stranger concerned about my character, all while having the nerve to act like a decent man in front of others. This is the same man who once told a waitress she looked too pretty to be wearing pants. I did not confront him right away. I needed time. I needed a plan. You do not walk into battle without knowing the layout. So I started watching. Quietly. I kept Jenna in the loop. We even laughed about it a bit. She joked about framing the email and hanging it in the shop as a reminder that bitter old men fear successful women. I told her to keep the email, just in case. Then I started digging a little deeper. Here's the thing about men like Gerald. They love hearing themselves talk. He was still active on Facebook. Still had a LinkedIn profile, even after retirement. Turns out, his retirement was not as clean as he made it seem. He had not simply chosen to walk away. He had been pushed. Let go, quietly, after he made some comments during a company diversity seminar. I only found out because someone I know used to do freelance work for the same company. Small world. And then, like fate was backing me up, I got a call from Lana, my husband's cousin. She has always been kind to me. Said she needed to tell me something. Lana let me know Gerald had been talking behind my back ever since that retirement party, telling folks I used his big day to show off, that I was promoting my business, that I had planned the whole thing just to embarrass him. I almost screamed right there on the phone. He was rewriting the story, turning himself into the victim, acting like I was the drama queen trying to steal the spotlight. I thanked Lana, hung up, and I made a decision. I was going to do something I should have done a long time ago. I made another box. This one was not gentle like the first. No smooth walnut. This one was made from black locust. Tougher, heavier, sharp edges. No curves, no soft lines. I added metal corners. Burned the wood in spots to leave dark scars. Put a lock on the front. Inside was a single note. You said it was just a box. Here is another one. Try opening this one with your mouth. I did not mail it. I brought it to the next family dinner. Yes, I went. Sat at the table. Passed the potatoes. Gave a polite smile to his wife. Then, just before dessert, I said, "Oh, I made something." Thought Gerald might want to open it. He looked confused, but opened it in front of everyone. The whole room went still as he read the note. He shut the box. Did not say a word. My husband stared at me like I had just dropped a bomb. I looked Gerald dead in the eye and said, "Now you can say you own a second one you did not earn." Nobody laughed. Gerald got up, walked out the back door without saying anything. Everyone else looked at me like I had just slapped the Pope. I ate my dessert calmly. Then I left. The next day, Gerald called my husband. And this is where things got strange. Turns out, Gerald's lawyer had called him earlier that week about some online content involving the use of his name. One of his old co-workers had seen something I posted, something about my woodworking, and figured out the connection. At first, we thought Gerald was involved in something shady that popped up online. Turns out he was not. But the moment he got wind of it, he started worrying about his name being connected to my business in any way. He told my husband he wanted me to sign some kind of agreement. Something saying I would not use the family name in anything I made or sold. When my husband passed that message along, I laughed out loud. "I never even liked your last name," I told him. Then I got online and changed everything. Every account, every website, all my branding. I went back to using my maiden name. But I did not stop there. I took screenshots of that email Gerald sent to Jenna, the one where he tried to sabotage my business, and sent it to a few family members who had been quietly asking what really went down. No explanation. No added message. Just a picture. Let them connect the dots themselves. And just like that, the invitations dried up. The family group texts turned quiet. I became that one, the black sheep. But I did not mind. For once, the truth was out there. I was not the only one carrying it anymore. And Gerald? For the first time in a long time, he shut up. Things stayed quiet after I handed him that second box. No more messages from him. Not a word from my mother-in-law. The family group chat was basically a ghost town. My husband stayed stuck in the middle as always. "They just need time," he kept saying. I did not fight him on it. Instead, I kept pouring myself into my work. By the time autumn rolled in, things really started to take off. One of my new box designs went viral after a home decor influencer posted about it. The orders flooded in. I brought on 2 part-time assistants to help me keep up. Then I got invited to a handmade goods expo in Indianapolis. When I showed up, my name was printed on banners. I was finally doing it. Building a real business. On my own terms. No eye rolls. No sarcastic remarks. No one calling it a cute little hobby. And then the bottom dropped out. One night, my husband came home, and I could tell something was off. He looked tight, like he had been carrying something around all day. He sat down at the kitchen table, rubbed his face like he was bracing for a blow, and said, "I have to tell you something." He pulled up an old bank account on his phone. A joint account he and Gerald had once used years ago for some real estate project they were involved in. Apparently, back in July, Gerald had pulled $10,000 from it. Did not tell a soul. And here is the kicker. He used that money to hire a public relations guy, a consultant, all to manage his image online. Scrub his name, basically, just in case anything I posted tied him back to me in any way. Let me say that again. He paid someone, with our money, to make sure he looked squeaky clean, and that I disappeared from any narrative that might tarnish him. That was the moment I saw red. You want revenge? This is where it begins. First thing I did was call Jenna, asked if she still had the original email from Gerald. She did, still safe in her inbox. Then I reached out to the local chapter of the Small Business Association in Chicago. Gerald had been listed as a volunteer mentor there for retired professionals. I sent them the email. No commentary. No drama. Just the facts. A man targeting a woman-owned business with false accusations. A few days later, he was quietly removed from his volunteer role. Politely, of course. But I was not finished. Not even close. I went out to the shop one evening and picked up that walnut box, the very first one I made. The retirement gift I had poured my time and heart into. The one Gerald never said a single word of thanks for. I filmed a video for my channel. Called it, "The Box I Made for the Man Who Said It Was Worthless." And I told the whole thing. Every bit of it. From the party, to the comment, to the email he sent behind my back, all the way to him hiring someone to clean up his image online. I kept names out of it. No one was called out directly. But folks who knew us? They knew exactly who I was talking about. The video blew up. 200,000 views in 1 week. Thousands of comments. People opened up about their own stories, about their families, about their own versions of Gerald. It struck a nerve. But here is the thing. I did not feel any better. What I felt was tired, worn out from carrying all that anger for so long. Even revenge, when it lands, comes with its own kind of weight. That night, I went out to the workshop by myself. I did not turn on the lights. Just sat there in the dark, staring at that black locust box, the one I gave him at that last dinner, the one with the note inside. And I broke down, not out of guilt, out of grief. Because no matter what he did to hurt me, and he did plenty, I realized I had turned into someone I barely recognized. Cold, calculating, ready to fight instead of forgive. And my husband? He was still there, stuck in between, watching his father fall apart on one side and his wife toughen up like armor on the other. So I made a decision. I sat down and wrote a letter. Not for Gerald. For myself. Here's what it said. I loved you like family. I really did. I gave you my time, my effort, my hands, my heart. I brought kindness to your door, and you met it with laughter. You tried to shrink what I built, erase it, mock it. But I am not angry anymore. I am just done. Done trying to earn what should have been given freely, respect. I do not owe you anything now. I just hope someday, before it is too late, you figure out what real worth looks like. Before the last person who cares about you forgets why they ever did. I never mailed it. Instead, I read it out loud, standing alone in the backyard by the fire pit, the one Gerald had built years ago with his own 2 hands. Then I burned the letter, watched the paper curl and disappear into flame, let the ashes drift off into the night air. That was my ending. No big speech, no final box, just a small, quiet fire and peace.